This here is my recording setup. I leave it pretty much like this all the time. I just have it like this and this microphone up here and out of the way when I am, working at my desk, and then I pull it down to hit record, slide this guy over and turn everything on. And here is my new light. I got this a couple months ago. It's pretty nice. It's a Godox. And when I am ready to record, I just reach back here and flip this light on. Then I come over here and flip these lights on like this. And I used to use all solid color, but one day my 5-year-old granddaughter adjusted them and made like more fun colors. And then just depending what I'm feeling like, I'll put them in different places. Usually there is one up here on the guitar. A lot of you have asked how I make my videos, so this may not be exactly what you wanted. I'll show you how to edit in CapCut in a second, but I thought this might be fun for a change. Throw a purple one here, throw the blue one in here. This is what the lighting looks like with the overhead lights on. Not great. You should never ever film with overhead lights on. I'm going to show you this, then turn it back on to show you something else. But Alexa, lights off. That just creates a drastically different experience. Like here, even looking at the room and of course in front of the camera. Alexa, lights on. Now this is a Sennheiser 416, which is overkill. I used to do voiceover, so I've got a leftover mic. It requires what's called phantom power, so I have to plug it into my camera right here, and this Sony FX3 has this device that allows it to provide phantom power to the mic and just records right in. And then I use this so I can see myself. I'm blind, so I need this screen so I can make sure I'm in focus and everything. And sometimes the focus works and sometimes it doesn't. Usually it's my fault. What I do is I film myself on this camera at the same time I record this big screen using this software called Camtasia. I like this software because it lets me create that mouse cursor effect. I'll have that, that yellow circle, and you can see when I click and you can see the keystrokes and stuff. So this software is great for that. So I'll come over here and turn this guy on when I'm ready to record. And then I'll say, hey, Alexa, lights off. She's a little slow. But now we have, this kind of cool look. And switch over to this camera now, and I start recording. By the way, I'm including a couple minutes of footage from my last video, both the screen recording and the talking head stuff that looks just like this. You're getting the raw footage, so you can see all of the mistakes I make, so that might be kind of fun. Hopefully I didn't swear. I'm also including the cinematic B-roll from my last video in a separate link below. You should stop right now, click on both of those links, and download all that footage, which you can do whatever you want with, since I filmed it all. You can post it on social media, YouTube, whatever, and you don't even have to give me credit. If you're excited to get to the editing part of this video, go ahead and hit subscribe and smack the bell so you never miss out on any future content. Now let's go ahead and turn on Camtasia so you can learn how to edit like me. Because I filmed my last video all in one take, it makes it really easy. We first drag the screen recording to the timeline, and then we just drag me talking on top of it and hit Shift Z so we can see both of these clips filling up the timeline. I'm going to highlight both of them, and CapCut is going to automatically synchronize these two clips. I just right click on one of them and I choose sync video to sound. Because these video clips are a little over an hour, it's taken a second to sync them, but once it does, they'll be perfectly lined up. Now that the clips are synced, I'm going to zoom into the beginning here by holding down the command key on my Mac, the control key on a PC, and scrolling my scroll wheel. And you'll see that, oh yeah, I didn't start them at exactly the same time. Screen recording started slightly before that, so I can just get rid of that now. I'm going to make sure that snapping is enabled, this guy right here, so I can exactly start this thing at the right time. I'm going to click on this bottom guy only, hit Command B on a Mac, Control B on a PC, delete this section, and I'm just going to slide these guys over. You may notice that this footage of me doesn't look great. It's kind of flat. There's no color. That's because I shot it with what's called a log profile. In a lot of cameras, you can shoot it flat like this and then add what's called a LUT, a lookup table, basically a filter afterwards to make the colors pop. When you shoot video in a log profile like this, you can actually make the colors better. You can make them pop more. It gives you more dynamic range. It gives you more whites and more blacks, so the video just looks richer. And on some cameras you can do that, some cameras you can't. And to fix that, it's super easy. You just have to add a LUT to it. A LUT, like I said, is a filter. I just make sure that only this clip is highlighted. I go to adjustment, and then right here near the top I've got LUT. I've added one LUT that I purchased actually. There's some that are free online, and I use this for pretty much all my videos. Just click on this guy, and bam, we have a LUT, and now look how much better that looks. When I'm on the screen down here in this corner, which is what I'm going to show you how to do, I want to be facing what's happening over here, but I'm facing the wrong direction here. How do I fix that? I do this before I do any editing, so it affects all of the clips. Even after I've edited them, I don't have to modify them individually. I just make sure this clip is highlighted, and I click on this guy right here, and watch what it does. It flips me. Now I'm facing the wrong way, so when I put me down here, I'll be facing what I'm doing. Next, we need to start editing all of this stuff, and there's a little bit of a challenge because we need this to stay in sync. First of all, you want to make sure that this track magnet is off. You can type the letter P or click here to make sure it's off. When it is white, it is off. When it is blue, it is on. If you don't have the track magnet off, this stuff is going to get out of sync very quickly. Now, to edit both of these at the same time and keep them in sync, you might think that you could just select both of them and right click and choose either create compound, clip, or group. And in theory that works, but in practice it doesn't. Not going to cover that here, but trust me, it doesn't work great when you do that. It just messes everything up. So what we have to do is just edit this stuff and move things over and keep them in sync and just be kind of careful so you don't mess it up. To do that, what I usually do is I first look at the waveforms. I'm going to zoom out a little bit and see where I have a big spot of waveforms like this, where I'm not stopping, and I'm going to listen and see what's going on. Step number one to creating a cinematic edit. Okay, so step number one is how I started that video. Let's see if it says the same thing here. That's what it says there too, so I know that's not the one. Let's see if I say that again here. I see a lot of videos. Okay, there we go. So that's step number one. So I know that that's the beginning of the video. Both these tracks are highlighted. I'm going to type the letter Q. The letter Q will add a cut right here and remove all of this stuff because the track magnet's off. It's not going to slide over. We'll have to do it manually. Letter Q, bam, added the cut, deleted all that. Now I just slide all this stuff over like that. And we have the video starting. Step number one, bam, that's how the video starts. And you'll notice what I did there. Like, I know what I said right here, and I said it again here. So I just jump ahead and I look for where there's dead space right here, so I don't have to listen to all of that stuff. I see dead space, like, oh yeah, that's where that thing should start. I'm just going to add a cut right here by typing Command B on a Mac, Control B on a PC. Notice that both tracks are highlighted, and I'm going to see where this ends. Cinematic edits, and then to show you, I see a lot of cinematic edits, so I know that's where all this is a mistake here. So to get rid of all of this, this is the end of this clip. I want to delete everything from here, the playhead, to the end of this clip because I know that I don't need it. I'm going to make sure both of these tracks are highlighted, and I type what letter? Do you remember from prior lessons on YouTube? You type the letter W. W will add a cut right here and delete everything after it until the next edit. So I just type W, bam, all that's gone. To stay in sync, we just move this over and it'll snap into place. Why? Because we have snapping on. That's this guy. This is track magnet. This is snapping. We want snapping on right now. And then I just check the edit. Tell a story. I see a lot of videos. I'm really picky and that breath annoys me. So I'm just going to zoom in quite a bit so I can see what's going on. And I'm going to position my playhead right here and get rid of that breath. To get rid of this from the beginning of this clip to where I start speaking, where the playhead is, what's the keystroke? It's Q. So I type letter Q, bam, that goes away. And then I slide everything over. And then let's see how that looks. A story. I see a lot of, and I get a little breath there. I want to get rid of that too. Sometimes it's appropriate to leave breaths and pauses for emphasis and to keep it interesting and flowing. For these tutorials, people don't like waiting, so I try to get rid of all of the breaths and all the mistakes. I'm going to zoom in. Again, I'm holding the Command key on a Mac, Control key on a PC, and hitting the scroll wheel, or scrolling the scroll wheel to get rid of that breath. Highlight both of these, and what letter do I type? This is the end of the clip. This is just your test to help you remember. It's W. Bam, gone. And now I just slide this over, and then I check the edit. And this white box kind of distracts me to get rid of that. We just click anywhere on the timeline besides on those clips, and now we can just check this edit again. I see a lot of videos. Yeah, that's perfect. It just flows. So that's how I like my edits to be. I like them like nice and tight and crispy. At this point in my edit, I would just keep editing until I got to the screen recording portion, and then we would change it up just a little bit. Let's assume that I've edited all this talking head stuff. I haven't yet, but let's assume that's done. Now we're going to jump into the screen recording portion, and this is the very first frame where I want that to start. I'm going to highlight both these clips, hit Command B. By the way, starting here is where the footage is that I'm giving to you to practice with, because the goal for this whole video is to show you how to do that whole screen recording with you in the corner thing. So let's assume this is all edited, it's all talking head. Because this is all talking head, I'm just going to delete all of this. I don't need that footage underneath it because we never used the screen recording, but we just started the screen recorder about the same time to make things easier. Now let's check out this footage, and to do that, I use 3 keystrokes you want to get really, really good at with my left hand. Right hand's on the mouse, left hand is on the keyboard, and my fingers are usually on the keys J, K, and L, because J lets you go backwards. I tap letter J, and I'm going backwards at 1 speed. If I hit J again, look at that, it's going at double speed. And if I hit it again, it's going at 4 speed. I use these keystrokes all the time. When I hit K, the video stops playing, and if I hit J, we go forward. J at 1x, 2x, 4x, 8x, bam. And I do this all day long, every day when I'm editing, and the same keystrokes work on all the big programs as well. So if you get good at CapCut and you eventually want to upgrade to a more pro program, you're going to be in good shape. The other keystroke I'm going to teach you right now is the down arrow. The down arrow takes me to the next edit right here. So I'm going to hit down arrow. Bam, we jumped to this edit we wanted to be at. The up arrow takes you to the prior edit like that. Down arrow again, and here we are. Now let's see where we need to make our next edit and what we're going to do with it that's different from what we were doing before. Let's turn the audio back on. Number 3, selects. You want to select the video clips you're going to use in the edit and the portion of the clips that you're probably going to use. You'll find a little later. There are a couple ways to do that. I went fast there, and then you notice that, oh, my head is turning towards the screen. I must be looking at the screen recording, and at that point, we want to see the screen recording. So I'm going to find exactly where that happens. No, to do that. And right when I'm turning, I want it to be really natural and flow. So right when I'm doing that, I'm going to add a cut right here with Command B or Control B. And now I want to start seeing this screen recording down below. How do I do that? I go to Video, Mask, and I add one of these masks. A mask just cuts out everything outside of the mask. We can make a circle mask or a heart or a star, but we're going to use a rectangle. And to modify this mask, you just drag it up so it's over my head. And then I drag the sides in a little bit like this. And if I click in the middle, I can move it over and put it about where I want it. And then we want to round the corners a little bit. So I scroll down just a tiny bit. I don't want any feather. I think feather looks terrible for something like this. So I just round the corners just a little bit. And I don't know, at about 15 looks pretty good. Now, if I try to move this mask, I need him to be down here. You think you just click and drag. It's like, oh no, it didn't work. What do? You jump over to Basic. And now I can move this guy down here just by dragging, and I can scale it down with either the scale slider here, or I can just drag these corners down and make it about the size that I want. And he's going to be here in this corner in about the same position anytime that the screen recording is on. And I'm going to click out of it so that we don't see that white line. And I'm going to turn the sound off so you don't have to listen to it for either of the tracks. And now that looks like what you see in virtually all of my videos. Next, we want to edit the remainder of the video and remove all of the mistakes like this. Okay, I've been listening to all of this and I didn't really mess up there, but I messed up right about here. So what should we do? Zoom in and out. There's multiple ways to zoom in and out, but that's what I like to do. And then I just go through the clips and I find out the part. And then I just go through. So there's a mistake. And actually, that's a pretty good run. I went for like a minute and a half without making a mistake. That's unusual. So I might give you a little more footage than 2 minutes, just so you have more to mess with. But let's go ahead and fix that. So, but that's what I like to do. And then so I zoom in really close so I can see what's going on. I can see these waveforms. And I position my playhead here, highlight both these clips. I split it, Command B, Control B. And then I picked it up right here. And then I just go through. And that's where I pick it up. So what I do, I type the letter Q to get rid of all of this stuff, and then I drag this stuff over. And then I just remove all the mistakes just like that for the remaining, hour plus of this footage. So in addition to removing all the mistakes on both tracks, we're going to add cuts at the beginning and end where I'm facing the camera so later we can make it big. I found a point where I'm facing the camera here, so I would do that. Now I want to get rid of all of this here first because this is all a mistake. So I'm just going to, the usual Command B, Control B, delete this. Oops, I missed. You see that I cut that one, but not the top one. And I'm showing you that so you see that I make mistakes, and you'll probably make the same mistake too. I didn't have anything highlighted. If nothing's highlighted, it will cut only the bottom track. You want to highlight both of them to cut both tracks. But this one's already cut, so it doesn't matter. But I'm just going to hit Command B, and bam, that's gone. I'm going to delete that. I'm going to pull this over. And this is the beginning of where I am facing the camera. Look at that. I'm facing the camera, and I'm just going to scroll to when I'm done facing the camera. Clips you probably don't want to use. And notice that I turned my head, I'm looking back at the screen. So I'm going to go back here. Don't want to use. So right here where I'm facing the timeline again, I want to add an edit there, but I don't want to cut this guy. I only want to cut the top track. So I just click on the top track and I'll hit my Command B or Control B, and bam, later we're going to make these guys full screen, and it's super easy to do. And then we just do the same thing for the remainder of the video. Anytime there's a mistake, we cut both tracks like this and remove the part we're not going to use. Anytime there is a beginning or end of a talking head part and it's not a mistake, we just cut the top track like this, until I make a mistake again or until I look down at the track. Here's a sequence I've trimmed up a little bit so I can show you what to do next. Here is me talking to the camera, and now I'm showing the screen recording, and now I'm talking to the camera again. but I'm down here in the corner, which is fine, but to make it better, we just click on this guy, and then we just, here at top where it says position and size, we hit this undo or redo button here. Bam, it makes it big, but I still have the mask on it. So we just go to the mask, and we click none, and then bam, we see what happens. I have all of my clips just raw down here in the timeline. Now, I made this super, and look how fluid that works. And then I'm just going to keep going through here and seeing, okay, I'm looking at the screen and looking at the screen, and here I'm talking to the camera again. So let's do it one more time. Anytime I'm talking to the camera, now look it, there's no cuts down here because all of this stuff is good. I just added cuts so I can easily do this. Click on this guy, and I get rid of the mask because that's the one that's open now. You don't have to do it in any order, no mask. Then I go to basic, and I hit this redo button here, and bam, it fills the screen, and it looks nice. So I want it to start once it starts moving. To trim it, to get rid of it. And it goes back to that, and then we'll do it one more time. And you can tell where it is because we just added cuts. You just go back to where these cuts are, and I'm looking at the camera. Because video basic is up, I click this guy first, then I go to mask, and I can either hit undo or hit none, and then bam, that works. And we just do that for the rest of the video. There's one more really important thing I'm going to teach you, but before that, if you want to understand this and just know how to do this and all of the things that I show in my videos on YouTube, you should really check out my course, Master CapCut, because I cover everything CapCut can do, so you're not confused, spending half your time going, oh, wait, how do I make that happen? What button do I push? You get comfortable, you get fast. I teach you the tricks that I use as a Hollywood editor in Premiere and in Avid and in Final Cut Pro, all of which I use professionally, and most of these tricks apply right here in CapCut. So I teach you a lot of that stuff in my course, Master CapCut. Plus, I have a section where I teach you how to get views like I'm getting. After years making YouTube videos, I finally figured out which works. It's a step-by-step process. Most people are, frankly, just too lazy to do it. It's simple, but it's hard to actually implement because it takes a little bit of effort. If you're that guy that has the discipline to take the effort, to take the steps, you can get views. I promise. You do the stuff I teach you in section 2 of my course, I promise your channel will grow much faster than it's grown now. If you're interested, if you're that guy, go ahead and check out the link in the description or go to mastercapcut.com and learn how to edit in like 2 days. And if you do that, it is going to take years off the learning curve on how to edit and how to grow on YouTube. Lastly, I'm going to show you how to zoom in on the screen recording when I'm talking about a small area of the screen so we're not wasting all this space and so that viewers can see what's going on. You don't have to do that, but it's super helpful, and I think you guys probably like it so you can get a better idea of what's happening. So I'm just going to hit play right here and see when I want to zoom in on the section. To do that, number one, you could just, so I said number one, so I want to zoom in on this, so I'm going to click on the screen recording, which is the bottom track. I'm going to go to video, basic. I'm going to select add keyframe for position and size. It does it for scale, position, and rotate, even though we're just going to mess with scale and position. Then I go forward about 10 frames. To go forward 10 frames, I hit shift and the right arrow because that's how long I want it to take to zoom in so it kind of looks smooth and cool. And because I have a keyframe set right here, I can just click and drag this guy and put it about where I want. You know, I'm kind of picky. I want to see like a little bit of black, something like that. And now I can watch what happens. I'll just hit play. I'm going to turn the audio off so you don't have to listen to it. And then bam, it zooms into that section. And as long as I'm there, I leave it there. And then I just scroll through. And if I'm going to start adding things to the timeline, I need to see more of the timeline. I'll just go to that section. And, oh, look, I'm adding things to the timeline, so I need to see the timeline. So right before, I don't know, right around here, we can zoom out. So I want to, don't move anything now. Watch, by the way, you're going to do this, and everybody does this. Like, oh, I need it to be scaled 100%. So you type 100%, 100, and then watch what happens. You know, this worked great here, zoomed in, and then now look what it is. It's slowly scaling down. That's a mistake. Don't do that. I'm going to hit undo because that was a mistake. And then I'm going to go back to the point where I want to see the entire screen recording. So right there, right about here, I drag it to the timeline. So just before that, I want to zoom out. So I'm going to add another keyframe here right now. I'm going to click right on this guy. And now nothing will happen between this keyframe and this keyframe right here. Then I go forward 10 frames, shift right arrow. And now I am going to make this thing full screen. To do that, I'll type 100 here. And I'll change position to 0 and 0 because that's how CapCut rolls with their X and Y coordinates. And then bam, hit enter. And now, watch what happens. We go holding position, holding position. I'm up there in that top corner, and then I hit play, and boom, it zooms back out, and we can see everything again. And you're just going to go through the rest of the timeline and do that anytime you want to zoom in on something that is tighter, a smaller section of the screen that you want to show, whether it's, over here or down in the timeline sometimes. There's, you click on this kind of stuff and you see all these guys. I might want to zoom in on that. So anytime you want to zoom in on the timeline, and it's going to look just way, way, way more professional if you do that, and your viewers will thank you because they'll be able to see exactly what you're doing. After doing this for the entire sequence, I would then add music, sound effects, graphics, and text, and I would only add music probably at the beginning if it worked and made sense and kind of drove the cut forward. But for the rest of it, for all this on-screen tutorial stuff, people probably don't want to hear music. I don't think. You can post in the comments below, but it's just annoying. They just want the information. So don't add music unless it actually enhances your edit. And then after doing all of that, you'd get this video right here, which you should totally watch right now because you're going to get some of the raw footage of that video so you can mess with this and see if what you did matches what I did. So click on this video right now. I can't wait to see if your cut matches what I did.